Weekly shopping. Here we go, baby. King salmon. Ain't no Prince salmon, motherfucker. King salmon. Yep.
Oh my god.
Cream of mushroom. Cream of chicken. Oh, nice. That's perfect.
Sure, kids.
Okay, cool. So we're back from the store now, and we have all of our ingredients like laid out here. They're ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys what I normally do, just week in and week out. This is very routine for me to get a recipe into MyFitnessPal. Actually, I do not do this every week. What I'm going to do is, my wife's using my phone right now to film, and I'm going to put the recipe on her phone to show you how easy it is to actually create your own recipe and then put it in MyFitnessPal. This is really good to do because then the macros are very predictable. And what you can do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a protein muffin recipe for breakfast. And then for lunch, what I like to do, my go-to recipe, one of my go-to recipes is a chicken pot pie. Super simple, super delicious. I like to choose things that I can cook, that I can just throw in the oven and then just kind of set a timer and then go off and do some other shit and not have to be so hands-on all the time. So what we're looking for here is best bang for our buck, assuming that we're really busy and we're not trying to be the best chefs in the world. We're looking for a good enough solution that is, you know, one, healthy enough, and two, fits into our macros, and three, fits into our daily schedule really well. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to create a recipe. So by now, you all have downloaded MyFitnessPal. So once you're in MyFitnessPal, you'll be in this screen. Can you see that? Is it focused? You'll choose more, and then you can go to My Recipes and Foods, right? We have tacos locos. But we can create a new one, right? So I'm going to create a new one. Just go ahead and enter the ingredients manually. That's the best way, I think. And then title will be chicken pot pie. All right. And then you get to choose how many servings, right? So I want this to feed me for, I've made this before. I think the serving is best at 4, right? So that gives me 4 lunches throughout the week, and that gives me the flexibility to go out and eat with my friends 1 day a week, okay? Cool. So we've chosen 4. We're going to go ahead and choose next. And then from here, we can start adding the ingredients. So what I like to do to try to make the ingredients add a lot more fast is, instead of going through and searching for each one, right? So for example, here I could start by searching for, you know, Food Lion cream of mushroom fat-free or whatever, right? It's a lot easier to just scan that bitch. So we can choose a scan button and then scan the label whenever it focuses.
Tap it.
Yeah, I guess you can tap it to make it focus. And then the serving size is going to be the typical serving size that you see on the container. But what we want to do, what we can do with most foods, is we can choose the serving size of 1 container, right? So instead of having to do math, right? I'm strong, I'm not really smart. So I want to just choose 1 container, and I'm just going to do a quick check, you know, verify that the numbers aren't totally whacked out, because some of the numbers in MyFitnessPal can be, but most of them are trustworthy. It looks good. So I'm going to continue going down the line here, and I'm going to add ingredient, scan it, and then there we go, it's scanned. And I'm going to change serving size to 1 container and then go down the line. The hardest one here, the toughest one in this situation is the chicken, because we're gonna have to do a little bit of math. I can't just choose one container. But what I can do, it says it's 2.59 pounds. So I can do I might have to do a little bit of math there. And I'm at the point now where I can, kind of good at this now. I can eyeball it a little bit and know how much of these, like I'm looking at that and I'm like, that's probably, I don't know, maybe like 5 ounces of chicken a piece. So, but what I can do to verify is I can have a scale on hand. So if you're not sure, if you haven't done this before, a good thing you can do is order a scale and look at it. People say that the scale is like super important. You have to have a scale if you're doing macros. Not necessarily true. You can also consider just looking up, just Googling portion sizes. Like you can Google 6 ounces of chicken or something like that, or chicken ounces, and you can see some sort of guides. It'll be like, okay, a fistful of chicken, right? Not like an actual fistful of chicken. That's kind of weird, but like a fist-sized portion of chicken is this much, it's like this many ounces. It's 4 ounces or something like that, right? So that's one way you can easily eyeball it. But yeah, this is the most challenging one. I'm gonna scan this, I'm gonna do a little bit of math, and I'm gonna figure out how much is actually in this package. I'm gonna use this whole thing because I want a very high protein recipe. I like the mixed vegetables frozen as well. I used to just buy them fresh, right? Like organic and all that shit. And I found that it's a lot more time efficient and worth it for me to just choose a whole package, right? I like to get the 2-pound package and then put this in there. This is where I get a lot of my fiber for the day, right? So I know I need high protein, fiber is really important, and I need high carbohydrates, so and low fat. So that's where the crescent dough sheet comes into play. And sometimes they have low fat versions of this, but I couldn't find it, so I just use one sheet now. And then there's low fat versions of this. I have the unsalted version of this. I like to add my own salt, and most foods out there are too salty anyway. And then the flour, pretty standard. I'm also gonna make breakfast, so I have my blueberry muffin mix. I like to add more protein to it, right? Most foods that you find commercially don't have enough protein. So I have IsoPure whey protein isolate. It's just unflavored. It just tastes like chalk, right? It doesn't taste like chalk. It's not bad, but it's pretty much unflavored, so it's designed to mix in with things. I got my eggs, and this is for while I'm cooking because I really enjoy it. Any excuse you can have or any reward that you can give yourself to cook is always good. But for this stuff, try to keep your alcohol consumption per day well under 20% of your total intake. So we're gonna go ahead and start mixing this stuff up, and we'll be back in a minute. So we cut the chicken horizontally, I guess you call it. Not the best knife skills, but the good thing is if you have a good knife, I'm using Cutco, makes life a lot easier. It actually helps to have your knuckles exposed here, not your fingers. Oh yeah, make it snow. Drink Gizmo, bitches. It's so gross. Okay, so once we've added all of our ingredients, right, I scanned them all in and then changed the serving size. You can just hit the next button, and then it'll tell you here, okay, so since you chicken pepper, you have 4 servings here, and this is how many calories are in each serving, and it breaks it down by macronutrient: 18 grams of fat, 80 grams of carbs, and 93 grams of protein. That fits pretty well with what my diet is. And then from there, you can either save it, and log it. But this is important because this lets me know whether or not I need to modify something. So for example, if I'm like, dude, that's like way too much fat, I can go back and then I can change the serving size of a certain thing and then put less of whatever that ingredient is in the recipe. So instead of just throwing everything together and then realizing that it doesn't fit later on, you can use this to kind of war game it and then see if it fits for you. All right, so we stir it all up. If you're fancy, you'll say you fold it in with the flour. I put a little hot sauce on there. I don't really worry about recording the condiments so much, right? If I really cared about salt intake, if I'm really like having way too much and my weight is fluctuating because of it, then I will. But right now, I really don't give a shit. So the whole point is focus on the big stuff, right? Focus on what matters. Make sure you have the calories in there. Make sure the serving sizes are accurate. And the macros look decently accurate, and you're good. Good enough. I actually like to put a cup of Greek yogurt in here too. Forgot that at the beginning. Some extra protein. Carbs. Blue as hell. Smurf gains. No, it's not Smurf food. Barney gains. You don't want those. Barney fat as fuck. It's a Gaines kitchen. Bacon, baby. So I got a timer set for like 50 minutes. I'm just gonna go get some other shit done. So while our food is cooking, what we can do is plan for the rest of the week so that it's really easy to hit our targets, right? Make sure we're eating enough, or restricting what we're eating if we're trying to cut. So what we can do is just kind of go through the week and scenario plan. This is what I like to do, right? So we can say, all right, tomorrow is Monday. We can add, whatever we just made for breakfast. We can, right, I'm going to add the lunch. What we do is we go into our recipes. Oh shit, that's the wrong one. Go into our recipes, and then there it is right there at the top, chicken pot pie. I've already made my servings. I already have all the macros divvied up, kind of. That already happened for us as we plugged everything in. And then I'm going to do that. Right, so I can plug in breakfast and lunch for each day, and then what I like to do is just leave dinner up for grabs. So I'm kind of playing a game of Tetris at the end of the day and making sure it all fits, right? So if I know I want to drink like, 1 beer per day or something like that, or 2, I can go ahead and factor in for that, right? You can search for it, what have you. But that's it. It makes life a lot easier. That way, as you're going throughout your day, you're not you're not having to stress about, did I track this or that? Or if you do eat something, like I'll eat like a package of snacks, you can just go ahead and add the food and scan it in. Or you can just search for it. Yeah, boy. Nice and golden brown. So we're putting this in the Tupperware and we are done.